My name is AnnickMagac. I am the author of Clear: How to Simplify Your Life and Live More Fearlessly. I'm also a coach and a designer. Today I want to talk about sentimental clutter. If you're in the USA, a lot of us are heading into the holiday week, in particular Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas and New Year's and all these holidays coming up, Hanukkah. And I wanted to talk about sentimental clutter. I've been asking you viewers as I've been doing these videos if you have any questions or if there are any topics that you want me to cover. And one viewer responded and said that, and I get this question a lot, so I was really glad that this viewer had brought it up. And they asked what to do with sentimental clutter. I've got clutter, but it's sentimental, and I don't know how to handle it or what to do with it. That is a great question. And the reason why I bring up the holidays is we are going to be either traveling and going to our childhood homes, or we are going to be receiving, as a parent or a grandparent, people into our homes. And as we know, we can, over time, accumulate a lot of sentimental clutter. Now, I refer to sentimental clutter as being different than regular clutter because regular clutter would be something like this, where say you have 3 or 4 toasters that no longer work and you've just been holding them and they're in the garage, and it makes sense that yes, I probably need to get rid of those 3 or 4 toasters that aren't actually working. Sentimental clutter is a little bit different in that we have an emotion, a deep emotion attached to it. So for instance, sentimental clutter could be toys from our youth, love letters from someone, photos, it could be clothing that we wore at a special event that no longer fits us or is out of style. It can be a number of things, but it's actually associated with a specific time, event, or emotion. Now, the reason why that we keep these things is that we feel sometimes that they are such a strong memory, we want to hold on to that memory. But one thing that can happen when we keep a lot of sentimental clutter around us is that it actually keeps us living in the past versus actually moving forward or letting ourselves go. So for instance, some people keep sentimental things. Thank you. Some people keep sentimental things because they believe that they would hurt somebody if they let it go. So for instance, how many people have received something from someone in the past? Maybe it was a grandparent who's passed away or somebody that you dearly loved, and then you didn't want to let it go because you felt that if you actually threw away that sentimental piece, that you would somehow lose that person, that somehow you would be doing an evil thing against them, or you'd feel so guilty to actually let it go, except that it's not really serving you in your life. This is hard. It's a hard thing to deal with, and a lot of people struggle with this. It's not easy to decide, okay, should I keep this? Should I let this go? I can find somewhere for it. I know I can do it. I can keep it, but then you just keep moving that box of stuff over, and trying to work around it in your life. So here are some recommendations for you in dealing with sentimental clutter. I'd like for you to ask yourself a few questions. Because as I said, a lot of the sentimental clutter can keep us living in the past. And when we live in the past, we don't allow ourselves to have a freedom of living in the future. Or now, we always want to live in the present, so let me just make that clear. But what I want to say is that we can sometimes become attached with the idea that the past was somehow better than the present or what the future might hold. Now, I call this past living because we are actually living in the past and not living in the present, or have hope that the future could bring even greater possibilities and more gifts and wealth into our life. So, want to ask yourself is, why am I holding on to this? Do I believe that it is something important to me? Am I holding on to it through guilt? Am I holding on to it because I'm afraid that if I let it go, I'll never get that again in my life? When we can ask ourselves these questions, it starts to become really clear whether or not we should actually keep what we're holding on to. Sometimes we hold on to things in the just-in-case mentality as well, such as, I'm going to hold on to all these toys because just in case in the future my grandchildren want to play with them. But then you got to think to yourself, okay, are those pieces still usable? Are you missing half the game that you're trying to keep? Are you just holding on to it because you're afraid that if you let it go, your memories are going to be gone of that beautiful time that you had playing with your grandchild or your child themselves? So we want to ask ourselves these questions and see if we can decide whether or not it's actually worth keeping or not. So if there are certain things that you are absolutely certain about keeping, such as every time you travel the world, you take sand from a different beach and you've got all these different sands from around the world, except you don't really aren't doing anything with them. So a second thing to do is that if you've got these pieces and you feel like you want to keep them in your life because they are symbolic to you and it makes sense, then decide whether or not you can actually incorporate it into your decor. So for instance, you might take those bottles and perhaps create this like beautiful wall where you have these gorgeous shelves and on them you put these bottles on top of them, beautifully written on there, Ibiza or wherever you might be in the world that there's some gorgeous sand. And if you can't find a place to incorporate these things, then maybe that's an indication that you should let it go. So here are a couple tips today. And if you like what you heard, please share this. And if you have any questions for me, please reach out on social media. I would love to hear from you. I'm AnnickMagac across all platforms. And I'd also welcome any emails from you to introduce yourselves and let me know whether or not these topics work for you, or if there are other things that you would like for me to cover.